Hi, this is Jean Henningsen with Monarch Leadership Group, and this is Leading Through Crisis, Making a Difference. Here with me today is Kathleen Woodring. She is the Executive Vice President for CareerSource for Citrus, Levy, and Marion counties. A big job for sure. Kathleen, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Jean. I'm really happy to be here to share some of our experiences that we've been going through. I'll give you a little bit of background about what I do and what our organization does. We do provide all different sorts of services to the community to help people find employment. We have a variety of different funding sources that come into us, and each one of them, that's the main goal, is to help individuals find employment. We do have welfare transition, the food stamp program, and then we have the basic job exchange, which is where we work with the employers, assist them with figuring out what positions they need to hire. We help them with posting them on our website on Employ Florida, and then we help hook them up with the best talent that we can. And as we started going into this crisis, one of our concerns that we had in making sure that we keep our staff safe is to make sure that they don't suffer from some of the anger that individuals are experiencing right now with the whole unemployment and the inability for them to be able to get their checks. It has been probably the biggest amount of individuals applying for unemployment at one time, probably ever in the history. And it's not just here in Florida, it is nationwide. There isn't much that we can do. We have been provided a little bit of access so that we can maybe assist with resetting some pins. But there isn't any way that we can go in and look and see why somebody isn't receiving their unemployment. And that's really hard for us because a lot of people really look at us as the unemployment office. And the unemployment office right now is a bunch of different call centers. So we are the face that wants to help them, and we will try to do anything that we can. But it's been very frustrating, not only to the individuals who need that unemployment check, but it's frustrating to our staff who can only do so much to be able to help them.
Yeah, I bet. So just to be clear, you have access to the unemployment system and can change people's PINs, but you are not the unemployment office. You can't help them process their application or tell them an update on their application or anything like that?
Right. We might be able to look in there and see if it's been denied. But we won't be able to really give them any advice on what needs to be done. The biggest holdup at the beginning was that if you applied for unemployment back in 2000, you established a PIN. So that was the biggest issue for people. Of course, you did not remember your PIN from 2000. and it's like any other where they give you questions and you're supposed to know the answers. But in 2000, those answers sounded like they made good sense. So that was like the biggest issue. So the Department of Economic Opportunity did give some training to some of our staff so that they can assist with being able to reset those PINs.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Now you talk about the emotions. And I've heard some of this because I coach some of your leaders, and so I'm aware of what they've been going through. People are just more emotional right now. They're frustrated, like you said, they're angry because they've been denied, or they're not getting their check, or they just lost their job. They're trying to find employment, and there may not be anything available that they're qualified for. Um, how has your staff and your leaders, how have they dealt with this, the increase? Because certainly they know how to deal with customers who are emotional, but this is, as you said, beyond anything that you've ever had to deal with before. So how are they managing this?
Well, we're meeting with them pretty much every morning. That's the first thing that they have on their plate is a meeting with their manager. So each management team meets with their manager so that they can talk about individual cases, talk about what might be occurring on the phone, because we're doing um, all of our services we're doing via the phone, we have a chat box on our website. So um, I think just to be able to keep letting them know that in the past, um, the emotions that people have about being laid off or about being unemployed, we can be much more successful with helping them because we can actually give them the tools that they need to be able to find a job.
Mhm.
In this situation, there's more going on underneath the surface than just needing a job. They're concerned that they're going to get sick. They're concerned that a family member is gonna get sick. It goes deeper than just losing your job. Um, so I think having those meetings every morning kind of helps to gear them up and give them um, some kind of cheerleading to head them off through their day. Um, and then they can also talk about successes that they had because we are getting people employed. There are employers who are hiring and hiring a lot. So that's another thing that we talk about is, okay, here's the employers that we know are hiring, just so that everybody has that in their head. Because as long as we can stay positive about what's going on in our economy, that's going to help our customers who are, are are feeling very hopeless right now, and hopefully eventually they'll start to get their checks, and they'll start to be able to you know, get checks over and over again, and then that will make it possible for them to be able to look for the job. They need to take care of that basic need first, so that they can really focus on getting that job.
Sure, sure. So you're meeting with your team daily, and then your managers are meeting with their teams regularly. What are you noticing when you are listening to what your leaders are telling you about their managers and their teams and how they're doing? What are you noticing? Are there any key ingredients, I guess, that you could pinpoint that goes into successful leadership during a crisis like this?
Well, most definitely constant communication. And as we make plans, making sure that our staff know what those plans are.
Mhm.
It's one thing to tell the managers that, okay, here's the plan, and to kind of work through what all the different areas might be that we need to address.
Mhm.
But then we need to bring it to the staff and be able to let them know that here's the plan, here's what we're going to do, and here's the reasoning behind it. We have a newsletter that we use with staff that goes out every Friday. And that was kind of one of the things that we kind of thought, well, I don't know, should we keep doing this, being we're not, we're not here in the office. But we did make an effort to continue using that. And it's been very good to provide some humor. I think humor through all of this is like the one thing that you have to have.
Yes.
So we've had pictures of people's dogs begging to be picked up in the office, and um, little pictures of what everybody's office looks like now, because
Mhm.
we it's fun to see that personal side. And then it gives us the opportunity to let everybody know who's hiring, and any special projects that are coming out. We'll be using that a lot because of all the different grants that are going to be coming out from the federal level, that we'll be needing to get geared up for and get moving
Oh,
forward.
fantastic. Good, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yep. Yep. So we'll have opportunities to be able to, if individuals need to be trained um, during an economic downturn, it's always a good time to get your skills built up.
Mhm.
If you're missing certain skill sets, it's a perfect time to be able to do it. We have great partnerships with our educational partners. And I know they're also getting some grants that will be able to cover tuition for some individuals. So
Mhm.
between them and between us with our funding, if somebody's been laid off and they want to go back to training, that's something that we can be able to help them with.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I heard you say communication, humor, and certainly being aware of training opportunities.
Yes. I think the other um, thing that helps is that leadership stays calm.
Mm, yes.
Yeah, maybe you aren't calm in the background, but when you're communicating to staff and as they're working through the stress, that you project that you're calm about it, um, and that your solutions are well thought out,
Mm,
and you're not jumping to any conclusions, which is
sure.
easy to do when you're rushing to make things happen.
Yes. Calm in the face of the storm. That's not always easy to do, but certainly critical during a time like this. Because if you panic, they're going to panic.
Oh
Right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And then another thing is to kind of nicely to be able to adjust attitudes, um, because there may be times where, because they're panicking, um, their way of dealing with it with other coworkers might not be where it should be,
Mhm.
and they probably don't realize it. So to be able to talk with them and adjust that, without blaming them, but maybe giving them a positive example
Mhm.
of how to be communicating with their coworkers.
Yes, and communication does seem to be huge. Many leaders have mentioned that they didn't realize how little they were communicating until everybody went remote and they started increasing communication. And then you start seeing the outcomes of that increased communication. And then you get positive feedback from your team that, wow, this is really great. I never knew this, or I'm so glad you told me. So yes, the communication definitely is huge. So I appreciate your mentioning that.
Yeah, and
So um, the CareerSource obviously does so much for our community and always has. But going forward now, I'm just curious, what is your projection with our unemployment being so high, yet we do have some industries that are definitely hiring? As we start phasing back in, what do you see the challenges that your offices in the 3 counties are going to have going forward?
um, the first challenge, we're going to be opening up somewhat to the public by appointment only, starting on the 11th. And so we'll
Okay.
be rotating staff. We're going to follow the guidance of no more than 10 people in each office. So that'll be the first challenge, is we have no sense of what that's going to look like. Will there be lots of people wanting to get in, and we need to set appointments for them? We just don't have a sense on what that's going to look
Sure.
like.
Sure. Sure. And this is all 3 offices are phasing back in with rotating staff starting May 11th.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then and then depending on how guidance goes, we're listening to what the governor has to say. We're listening to the different county governments as to what their guidance is.
Mhm.
We will look at what's happening, and then eventually we'll begin to bring in where more individuals can come into the office. Probably one of the big areas that they're going to need help with is that they will need to be able to fax in information, either to the Department of Children and Families for their welfare transition,
Mhm.
or they might need to do that to the Department of Economic Opportunity to be able to continue their benefits. So that's one area where at some point we think that we'd be able to have them coming in and doing that. We are going to require that everybody wears a mask. Our staff will be wearing masks, and we've got them all their PPE, so that they'll be safe. In fact, I just sent that out for tomorrow's newsletter, a description of everything that we're going to have for them, to be able to keep them safe.
And are
Uh,
you requiring your customers to wear masks as well?
yes, some type of face covering. Well,
Okay.
it doesn't have to be a mask, but it can be, a handkerchief tied around their face or whatever, but something to provide um, some defense in case they have any type of illness starting. We'll also be doing the touchless forehead thermometer as people enter in, both staff and customers, as an extra precaution.
Nice. Nice. Do you think that's going to be well received by the public?
I think we will do it as sweetly as we can, and I think it will be well received by most. Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a couple individuals, as with anything, that aren't
Sure.
going to like it, but it's good. That's going to be the process. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely different.
The whole.
So what do you want the community to know about CareerSource? And is there anything that the community, neighbors, friends, anyone watching this can do for CareerSource?
What I would like everybody to know is that we've really worked hard to have a whole bundle of services that are available to everybody, whether you walk into the office or not. If you go to our website and you click on Job Seeker, we've just finished up some amazing workshops that normally we would give to a whole classroom of people. But they can click on those workshops and they can find out all about interviewing. They can find out about how to do a great resume. And we also have access to a lot of other things that we can help them with. And if you want to talk to us, we're going to call you back. Whether you email us, whether you go on our website and you put in our little comment box, we're going to call you back, and we try to make sure we call you back that same day.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And what is your website URL, Kathleen? Can you tell us that?
Yes, it's CareerSourceCLM.com.
Right. CLM for Citrus, Levy, Marion.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
.com.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
And we've
so
got
there are workshops there. So these are free for anyone that wants to go, and it sounds like sharpen their skills to be employed.
Yeah, when you haven't been out of work for a while,
Sure.
and the way of screening individuals has changed since the way it was 10, 20 years ago.
Sure.
So to be able to make sure that your resume is going to bubble up to the top and not get knocked out because you didn't put the right kind of words in it, it will be very beneficial. I also want people to know that we've got lots of employers who are looking for people to work for them. So it pays to go in and start looking, even if you're feeling very frustrated right now. Go in and start looking at what's available.
And all of that's on your website.
Yeah, it'll take them right to Employ Florida. Employ Florida is kind of slow right now because there's so many people going into it.
Sure.
But it's not going to knock you out, and it's not going to be a pain to work with. But yeah, I really want people to know that there is opportunities out there. Listening to the news and letting that drag you down is not probably what one should be doing. Start to look at what can you do, what do you want to do. I mean, now's the perfect time. If you were in a job that you didn't like, and now's the perfect time to reinvent yourself.
Yes.
And look at it as an opportunity.
Yes. And perhaps get training or additional education to set you up for that other opportunity.
Yeah, and we've got lots of free training on our website too.
Wonderful.
So if you need to just be able to work on a specific skill, you'd be able to go in, take that training, and have it done for free instead of paying $150 or what have you. So there's just lots of opportunities out there.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's great. And I like what you said about the news, because we all want to be informed, but sometimes you can start watching it, or you get on a website and you start reading articles and you become immersed. And I think that there is a healthy balance there. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. We want to be informed, but we don't want to be immersed.
Well, it's like when we wait for a hurricane, that's what we do. We get immersed. This isn't a hurricane. It's not going to come and go. Yeah. So we have to look at it in a whole different way. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I know you and everyone at CareerSource is going to be very busy. I know you have been busy since this whole thing started, and that's going to continue in the upcoming months. You know, it's going to take us a while to pull out of this, but your services and what you all offer and how you help people get reemployed, you help the employers find the right candidates. It's really vital to getting our community back on its feet. So I want to thank you from everyone in all 3 counties for all of the good work that your people have been doing and that they will be continuing to do as you all phase back in.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Yeah,
your time,
my
Kathleen.
staff are all heroes. They most definitely are.
Oh,
We've got,
I love that. I
yeah.
love that. Yes, they are heroes. We have lots of heroes, not
Yep.
just the first responders.
Yep, that's right.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.